I stood in front of the mirror longer than I should have. The girl staring back at me looked fine at first glance. Green eyes, pale skin, a face that knew how to arrange itself into something passable. But the longer I looked, the more the cracks showed. Not on the surface, deeper, in the stillness, in the way her eyes seemed distant, like she was watching herself from somewhere far away. I watched her blink, watched her breathe. I didn't recognize her anymore. Some mornings, I could almost convince myself I was okay. That whatever had been done to me had stayed in the past where it belonged. Today wasn't one of those mornings. My body knew it before my mind could pretend otherwise. The tightness in my chest, the slow churn in my stomach, the quiet sense of dread that had taken up permanent residence inside me. I knew what day it was, a day I dreaded more than any other. Maybe it was because it marked the anniversary of the night my boyfriend crossed a line I had begged him not to cross, after I had said no more times than I could count. A night that had happened during a summer I never truly left behind. Or maybe it was because it echoed another fracture in my life. The day my parents and older brother died in an accident, leaving me behind like an afterthought the universe had forgotten to erase. At least that was what I'd been told. Apparently, I was the only survivor. Some days I wondered if surviving was supposed to feel like this, like being hollowed out and left standing, like carrying the weight of memories that never loosened their grip, like living in a body that no longer felt like a safe place to exist.
Avery, Liam's waiting for you. He's here to pick you up.
My aunt called from downstairs, and my chest tightened at the sound of his name. I took a breath that didn't steady me and forced my feet to move. I found my aunt perched on the kitchen counter, laughing at something Liam had just said. She looked relaxed, animated. Around him, she always did, like she softened in his presence, like he brought out a version of her I never got to see.
Hey, babe.
My body stiffened immediately. The memory surged forward without warning, sharp and invasive, a night I tried not to think about. A moment that lived in my muscles and skin, no matter how hard I tried to bury it. A moment where something was taken from me that I hadn't been ready to give. I knew I should have left him then, but I couldn't. My aunt worked for his father's company. One word from him, one complaint, and I could be thrown out onto the streets again. She'd done it before when I talked back in high school. She could do it again. I had learned early that safety was fragile, conditional. Once I saved enough money, I'd leave this house, leave him, leave everything. 2 more months. Just 2.
Avery!
Brielle rushed into the kitchen, breathless, her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. She held her phone out like proof, like the moment might disappear if she didn't show it fast enough.
Mom, I got in. Harvard accepted me.
My aunt pulled Brielle into a tight embrace.
Oh my God, my baby.
I watched them with a soft smile and wondered what it would be like to have a mother who looked at me the way my aunt looked at Brielle, with warmth, with certainty, and with a love that never hesitated. My chest tightened at the thought, and I let it pass the way I always did. "Congratulations," I said softly, forcing a smile. "That's amazing, Brielle. You deserve it."
Yeah.
Liam's voice came from just behind me, close enough that I felt it before I registered it.
That's huge. Harvard doesn't just take anyone.
I know, right? I've got to go. I'm late for work.
Already?
Yeah. We'll celebrate tonight, okay? Bye, Avery. Bye, Liam.
She added, already halfway to the door. Liam told my aunt we were heading out as well. She nodded absently, her attention still fixed on Brielle as she left. By the time the front door closed behind us, I was already bracing myself. Liam ushered me toward his brand new Tesla, guiding me into the passenger seat. Everything about the car smelled new, and I hated it. Every semester there was a different one, sleeker, louder, more expensive. A reminder meant just for me. Something to impress my aunt. Something that was meant to keep me quiet.
I've been thinking about you all summer. I like that you wore the gown I got you. It gave me a nice view of your pretty legs.
Before I could react, he leaned over and kissed me. I didn't kiss him back. I stayed still, as if not moving might make it end faster, as if my body could disappear if I willed it hard enough. My hands rested uselessly in my lap, fingers stiff, refusing to respond. His mouth pressed against mine anyway, insistent, familiar in a way that made my stomach turn. I focused on the smallest things. The vibration of the engine beneath my feet, the faint smell of leather and cologne, anywhere but here, anywhere but inside my own skin. When it was finally over, I felt hollow. Smaller. He adjusted himself as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't just reminded me, again, how little control I had. Outside, the campus hummed softly, not with laughter, just movement. Students passed in steady streams, faces forward, footsteps blending together. No one looked rushed. No one looked lost. Everyone seemed anchored to where they were going, like they belonged in this place. I didn't belong here. I never had. Not like this. Not dressed the way he'd insisted I be. Everyone else wore jeans and hoodies, layers that looked lived in and safe. I stood out painfully in the pale white dress he'd chosen for me, the thin straps resting too lightly on my shoulders, the soft fabric clinging where I wished it wouldn't. He'd said it looked pretty, that I should wear it. I hadn't argued. It felt too delicate, too exposed, like I had shown up without protection. I kept my arms close to my sides as I crossed the quad, aware of myself in a way that made my skin prickle, aware of the glances that lingered just long enough to notice, aware of how visible I felt and how small. By the time I stepped into the lecture hall, my body was already aching. The room was crowded, rows of students, backpacks spilling into the aisles, laptops open. I scanned the space, panic tightening in my chest as I searched for an empty seat. A few rows ahead were already filled, students settled in their seats, facing forward. The rows directly in front of me were still empty, untouched. Most people had chosen seats farther back, clustered together in groups. The guy a few seats down sat alone, hunched over his laptop, a black hoodie pulled low over his face. He looked separate, unattached, like he hadn't come with anyone, so I took the empty seat beside him. When I sat, pain shot through me. I adjusted once, then gave up. It wasn't going to stop. I opened my laptop and returned to my code. It was predictable. It responded the way it was supposed to. It didn't ask anything of me. It also paid. Not much at once. Small contracts, quiet work, money that came in without questions and went straight into savings. I'd been building it that way for 6 years. In 2 months, I could leave, build a life that didn't require me to endure things quietly. I was in my 3rd year of college and had no friends. No one who would notice if I disappeared. It would be nice to have one or two once I was finally free. Liam and I met at my aunt's work party the day I turned 15. He was 17 at the time, and I thought he was the most handsome boy I had ever seen. He was tall with beautiful brown eyes, soft-looking blonde hair, and skin that glistened underneath the soft chandelier lights. He smiled at me like I was the only person in the room. I lost my first kiss that night. On the day of his high school graduation, he asked me to be his girlfriend. It felt like the beginning of something good, something safe. Then that summer came, and his mask finally slipped. The boy I thought I loved faded away, replaced by someone colder, darker, someone I hadn't been prepared for. That was when I finally understood the truth. He had never been an angel. He had only been very good at pretending. He begged me to visit him, told me he missed me, promised he wouldn't do anything I wasn't ready for. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. I didn't understand then how easily promises could be broken, how quickly trust could turn into something that hollowed you out from the inside. By the time I realized what he was capable of, it was already too late. The professor walked in, pulling me out of the memory.
My name is Mrs. Elena Ramirez, and we're going to be diving into the fundamentals of network security.
Her words faded into the background as I struggled to stay focused, but my body had other plans. A wave of dizziness washed over me, the room spinning slightly as I tried to stay upright. My vision blurred, dark spots creeping in from the edges. I tried to steady myself, gripping on the edge of the desk, but the world around me continued to spin. Before I knew it, my body gave out and I slumped sideways, my head landing on the shoulder of the person beside me. He stiffened at the unexpected contact, but I was already slipping away into unconsciousness. The last thing I remembered was the warmth of his shoulder against my cheek, and then everything faded to black. This story isn't over. Please like and subscribe for Chapter 2, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss it.